Hey everybody, welcome back to Drip Drop Distro Studio. I'm Mikey, hosting again, and I'm trying to look thick today. I'm gonna flex because I got these big boys. I got the biggest boys in the industry. I have Ernie and I have Motu, and I feel big normally, but when I'm around these guys, they're thick. These guys are girthy. They're big.
He's big. I'm nowhere near big.
I'm trying to talk you up, Ernie. I'm trying to talk you up, dude. So we're touching on a topic today that is more of these guys' specialty. I'm just kind of here filling in this chair. It's why doesn't my product sell?
Because your product sucks.
My product sucks. Yes,
that's the answer.
Sure.
It don't sell because it sucks.
Well, we're gonna expand on that a little bit, and we're gonna try to touch on some key points and just get your guys' opinions and also some advice maybe for some business owners out there that we work with.
For sure.
Yes, absolutely.
I love it.
So I want to start off with B2B sales. Why don't you go ahead and just jump in, Motu?
Yeah, business to business sales. Well, of course, for Drip Drop, right? A majority of all at this moment, right, of what we do is business to business sales, right? So we only service retailers, distributors, cash and carries nationally. And then for us, that's a majority of our business because that's just how we get our products to shelves, right? Brick and mortar. And so I think right now in the growth of like online, right, you're starting to see kind of this divide between online retail, brick and mortar retail. And so it's a very unique landscape that we're starting to get into right now, and in the growth of online due to COVID and Amazon. And so Drip Drop will always be brick and mortar first, right? Online will always be a distant second to us.
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, right, there's us catering to the retailers that are brick and mortar and our friends and our family in the retail space. But it's, in my opinion, it's the only way that we keep our finger on the pulse of consumers, right? Because seeing consumers come in, those retailers seeing consumers come in, what they're buying, their buying habits, you don't get that type of data online. And so for us, brick and mortar is gravy for us. That's where we have to stay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you gotta lean onto things that you're able to, like you said, pull data from. And yeah, that's a big part of that. What do you think, Ernie?
B2B is interesting. I've always in my history has always been direct to consumer, always consumer driven, not jobber driven. But then when I transitioned into being a distributor and working B2B, it's a lot easier.
Sure. Yeah.
The audience is educated. The audience knows what they're doing. It's a 9 to 5 mentality. The secret is getting past that 5 and talking to them and engaging with them past 5 o'clock, where they're still talking to you because you're talking on a topic and a subject that matters to them, that they're passionate about.
Yeah.
But it's still work related. Like I've seen Motu do that in the field.
Sure.
Right. You see Doug doing that in the field, and they're just chopping it up, going, "Yo, if you did this, you get the next door, and if you did this, you'd be doing that. If you did this shelf site, etc." And I hate to say it, but it is a lot easier to embrace that market than a crap pot of consumers.
Yeah.
It's so noisy.
I think the only pros and cons to add to that, right, is selling to retailers as opposed to selling consumers. There's less money spent on training, on education.
100%.
Right? Because most retailers are pretty well educated in what they're going to buy and sell to their consumers, right? The education that goes in direct-to-consumer marketing is so significant, right? Because you have to teach the consumers how to use your product, what it is.
Yeah.
All this.
Even maybe why they need it.
Exactly,
all
right?
That.
It's a really high volume versus... It's a quantity versus quality thing.
Sure, yeah.
And that's just what sucks. Like you have to, when you're direct to consumer, you've got to be in their face so much, and it costs so much to get their attention. Versus when we're doing things like this, it's really just build a tool that works, and make a product, pick products that are guaranteed to pull through, and continue to show that the difference. I mean, where you and we grew up in CPG, right? Like. Back in the day, like when you had Red Bull and you had Monster, like when they first started, distributors were building those brands.
Yeah.
Okay. Bang fucked that up.
Sure.
Bang said, you know what? Monster's not coming in here and dropping a Jeep and dropping in this 2 girls from the sorority down here. And they're like, well, Red Bull is, but they're not doing it as much. We're gonna target your market and do it. Yeah. Brand building, real brand building. When
like on site, they're there.
Yeah, and that's
well,
what
Bang did such an amazing job. Like, and I tell people this story all the time, right? When Rhino Rush launched our energy drink in late 2017, 2018, our marketing was right? Yeah. We just knew we had a good product. But when they did the rebrand of Bang and they came out chasing the keto trend, right? 0 calorie, no sugar, no carb. Like when they came out and all of that marketing and then they went straight to the streets with it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It was
Field
brilliant.
mark.
It was brilliant.
And I think that's what Drip Drop does that almost nobody does.
Sure.
Is we hit the streets. Our retention rate is the quality of our retention rate so high. It's also kind of the bigger reason why we're doing this podcast. So everybody sees it's not just Doug and Motu out there.
Yeah.
It's not just Base out there. Like you guys need to call on anybody else from our team. We're all here. And it's a really cool thing to see it digitize and morph. But at the same bottom line, it's always, if you're not out on the streets with any product today, on the B2B side, you're way behind. Field marketing's everywhere.
Yeah, and I think it's important, anybody that's listening or tuning into these, to know that we're a resource for this. Like you guys are willing to share this knowledge. It's not just
100%.
And that's something that you see
It's a
people.
select few.
Yeah. Yeah,
Put it in an application.
Not everybody, not everybody's willing to take a phone call and have a long form conversation about why stuff's not selling or how do they market it, even as a sub distributor or as a store. I mean, the beautiful thing about this building is that there's so many minds, there's so many people who know so much and are able to share. Maybe they don't have the answer to all your hardships, but they can point you in maybe a direction that you're not thinking of. And yeah, it's very important. So we were talking right before this started about co-op, and I'd like to kind of expand on that because I'm learning stuff today too. So Ernie, why don't you break that down for us?
Yeah, so a co-op it's basically a cooperation opportunity for you guys to build a brand, right? So as I mentioned earlier, right? If you had Monster and Red Bull out there building this empire and they're moving $1 million to $2 million per major metro.
Yeah.
The distributor would actually sit there and say, okay, cool. You want to buy this product and this product and this product, right? And let's say that symbolizes the amount of inventory there. The amount of capital just to move that from manpower shouldn't just be funded by the distributor. Okay. Carrying that weight on their back is tremendous. What they need to do is facilitate that. Now, so that co-op, here's that extra piece of inventory that could either be hard inventory or cash.
Yeah.
Right. The cash can go towards the people, or they'll make up their cash for putting people on the street, and they'll make it up on free inventory to make that piece. So it's a opportunity to go to market. So like back to school, huge co-op.
Yeah.
Like when I was at Blue Triton, like that was all we focused on. It was like, I want pallet programs. Yep. I want to be right next to crayons. I want to be right next to notebooks.
Yep.
And I want my 8-ounce signals out there just so mom trusts it, throws it in backpacks, or makes her journey all the way over to the right corner of Walmart and go get Pure Life over everybody else.
Yeah.
Guys, that's water. That's, we literally took that brand from 0 to 60 in 6 months because of taking a pallet and a stacker, turning it into a school bus, and letting other brands in there.
Yep.
So you would reach through the school bus window and grab an 8-ounce, but you can also get a pack of Crayolas, a pack of notebooks, a pack of erasers.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we turned it up, and they said, "Hey, we want that co-op to be higher," I said, "Listen, that co-op is intense. You guys are at 16 points to whatever you invest in." Guys, like the orders that Walmart would make were in the millions.
Yeah.
So 16% of that, it really cuts into your margins. You're selling water.
Yep.
Right? There's not much margin to spare. So what we ended up saying is strategically, right? You look at the numbers really closely and go, let's not do co-op. Let's do buy one, get one free of any of the other windows.
Sure.
And we'll all feed off of each other. I called the Crayola guys. I called the notebook guys. Are you cool with it? Are you cool with it? oh, wait, so if they buy water, they can get mine for free. I'm like, yeah, it's just a co-op trade.
Sure.
Walmart didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
But what we did all see coming, and that's why Walmart agreed to it, they were like, yeah, that's going to move.
Yeah.
So
very creative. Yeah.
it's just, but once you understand co-op, it's a real powerful tool. Like I met Motu 4 years ago, and the biggest thing that he loved about what we were doing was a text to redemption.
Uh-huh.
Right? So basically you would buy an Outlaw energy
Dude, this
drink.
program was freaking dope.
Yeah.
Like
that
I'd never heard of this type of because it was at that time, right, 4 years ago, right? Rhino Rush was okay. We were still kind of growing, but we were trying to understand like true consumer marketing.
Sure.
Right? Like
yeah.
I'm a fan of, at the end of the day, in any category you're in, there's a category leader.
Yes.
That category leader, no matter what, has to spend the marketing dollars to remain the category leader.
Yep.
So if you're in a category and you know that there's a category leader, guess what? They're going to spend the money anyways.
Yeah. So watch.
And so
Stand
for
back and
me,
watch, yeah.
so for us, it was, listen, they're going to spend the marketing dollars to get the eyeballs to the category. Let's spend the marketing dollars to when they come to the category, they choose us over them.
Sure.
Right. So that was like our whole intention was we'll spend it in stores, we'll drive the consumers to our brand. But when he told me about what they were doing, like I was like, holy shit, that's a whole new level.
Yeah.
I tell him.
So you'll hear me preach about it all the time. Like we grew up in a world of doors, right?
Yes. Yes.
We were selling doors, knocking on doors. We were kids going, can I cut your lawn? Can I da-da-da-da?
Yeah.
Then my nerdy ass just converted over to screens and killing it all day. This is the first time I'm going to be hitting no to Mr. Palmer.
Yeah. No one does that.
Yeah.
That's how powerful Drip Drop Distro
Troy, for the
Studio
record,
is.
this is why I'm ignoring
Yeah.
you.
Hey. Yeah. When you're watching this later, Troy, there was a reason.
I do it all
Door
the
knockers.
time.
That's where we were at.
So, I sat there and it was one sales guy, and I love this guy to death. Like, he's a brother. He's a legend in the CPG industry. David Martin, remember David, the slick hair back, bro. He took Outlaw energy drink. We had Jason Aldean, Jesus, me, and maybe a handful of 10 marketers and salespeople, and we had no money left to do in-store promo co-ops. So they're like, Ernie, how can you, like, we can't afford coupons. We can't afford POP or POS.
Because coupons aren't free.
Yeah. They're not.
Just so everybody
Actually really
understands.
expensive.
They're
They are,
expensive.
Yeah. And then they're a gotcha at the end of your year. Like when you're a marketing manager or a CMO, like at the end of the year, those coupons are underneath the registers.
Yep.
And there's an expiration date. And that store owner goes, oh, there's extra money. Let me redeem these. And then it hits your budget. Right? You could always do the math. I'm making this many, but I'm going to be doing this money. Right? And when you're at the tail end of your budget, you're like, use it or lose it. Guess what?
Yep.
That sucks on the 30th of December. It's happened.
Sure.
So at the end of the day, I wanted to have something that was zero overhead and efficient and effective. And all you had to do, we'll say it with Rhino Rush. And maybe this is me pitching Motu to do it.
Yeah.
You purchase a Rhino Rush, you take a picture of your Rhino Rush, and you DM us the receipt and the picture, and we PayPal you back.
Wow.
So, dude, that was how they ran their NOS program. So it was 100% rebate. So you go buy a NOS in store,
Yes.
take a picture of your NOS and the receipt, send it, DM it to them, and they freaking Venmo or Cash App you your money right back to you.
We
Wow.
couldn't afford a truck and a
I
person.
didn't know that. It's incredible.
It's like,
Yeah.
what? Who does that?
We couldn't afford to put a Motu, a Day, or anybody out to the door and go, hey, try this, sample this, etc. Right? Like we have Titus out in the street with the T-Rex, and that kid will introduce Rhino Rush to at least 100 people a day.
Yeah.
Right? That's like 120K. Fuck, the truck's 120K.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Just alone. So we didn't have that at the point, right? Because like we had this huge influx of cash, but we focused on inventory.
Yeah.
We made 8 beautiful SKUs, rebranded, got Jason Aldean, and then that was the challenge. Like, Ernie, you only have $3 million for the year. I'm like, holy shit.
Well, answer me this. This is just again, I'm learning today too. This is an outsider question. So say someone's wanting to participate or do something like this. Are you typically leaning towards adding inventory as like the co-op incentive over throwing money at it, because the inventory is a lower dollar amount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
So
really
it's-
depends on it depends on the rep relationship.
Co-ops are
I just feel like from the business side of it, it's like we could throw more inventory than we can cash at this with the same value, because the inventory costs us less to.
In our world, of Drip Drop's world, yeah, because you guys have no expiration dates.
Yes.
sorry, Doug. I'll call you back.
Doug
Damn,
and Troy.
Doug
both
and
shut
Troy.
down. Oh, this is incredible. It's the greatest podcast.
Something's really
we've ever
going
done.
on.
Someone better call
They're in
those
Florida.
guys.
So.
Where's
Who knows?
Gracie? She
Yep.
might know. They're going to hit her up next.
Don't answer, Grace. Just let it go.
Well, co-ops can, right? There's the co-ops are spun in different ways, whether they're combo purchases, co-ops, right? And
Sure.
so usually how it works, right, is brands that are a part of like a co-op purchase, right? Buy this, get that, right? In tandem and partnership. Most of the time, our goal is to keep whatever SKUs or products are within that program very similar,
Yeah.
right, in cost and in MSRP, because then it gets really, really easy, right?
Sure.
And so a lot of the times it can be an inventory push. You'd rather it be more of like a rebate, back end incentive, right? Or you could do almost like a co-op where we could take 4 brands and we're going to say, hey, we're going to pay for the floor.
Sure.
The 4 of us together are going to pay for the floor, plus we're going to run the promo.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a million ways that you could skin that cat, right? And do it. It's whether the retailer is going to say yes to it or not.
Yeah.
Right?
And
I
it's
think-
like, instead of
But
like,
oh.
it's like if you did it either way, right? He's got to look. And here's what: when you're a marketer, which we both are,
Yeah.
but we're both entrepreneurs, and we're both like we don't have to think for each other. Like, we don't even have to speak because we know what the next step expectation is.
Sure.
It's like playing basketball. Like if I'm squaring out this way, I know where he's going to cut.
Yeah.
I don't even have to look. I could lob it. I know he's going to be there. With that said, I got to give him more money to fund that co-op. So like that text to redemption is why
Sure.
people think it's brilliant, because no man in the van, no coupons, 0 overhead, instant pull through, all digitized.
Totally hands off. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's brilliant.
Like for you to relate to this, because you're so close to it. Imagine if we went to all of our stores and dropped a piece of paper, like a sign that says, buy a Hush or OPMS, text and redemption.
Yeah.
How crazy? Do
No,
you, like,
it could get wild.
yeah, and you only get one for free
Yeah.
just to get the sales volume up.
Sure.
Then he goes back and goes, yo, that co-op was good because he gave him inventory instead of cash.
Yes.
So he's like, he'll come to me and he won't even have to come to me. I'll know he expects me to burn that co-op and push it
Yep.
and increase the velocity. So you just get the screens.
Nice. Well, that's very interesting. I'm learning along with everybody else, and the insights that you guys bring with this type of stuff is next level. I think that there's not a lot of resources where people can go and have these type of questions answered, or even know that these questions
Should we share this?
are being asked. Yeah.
Well, so like years
you
ago,
guys are being very gracious with the information.
So years
you
ago, right? I used to, a mentor of mine was like, "Listen, knowledge is power,
Sure.
right? But knowledge retained and kept to yourself isn't
nothing.
nearly as
Yeah.
powerful as you think it is, right? And so, if you have the opportunity to bless someone with knowledge, bless someone with advice,
Yeah.
do it."
Yeah.
Right, because that's the ripple effect of the blessing, right? Everything always comes back tenfold, and so I'm a fan of if you got it, share it.
Sure. And who knows, maybe somebody that you shared this type of information with comes up big and they want to repay that someday. You know, you never know. It's like bring everybody up with you, not, step on everybody's
not
head.
step everybody on the way up.
Yeah.
There's
so-
a couple of people who'll sit there and be like, well, why'd you share it? Why'd you give it out for free? Honestly, unfortunately, it's not as easy as we make it sound.
Yeah, no, it's difficult.
It's really a lot of hard work.
It is. Absolutely.
There's a lot of aches and pains. And
So the next topic I kind of want to touch on is product knowledge and training. So let's get into that.
okay, what product?
You pick one. Rhino Rush. How about that?
That's our baby.
Man, Ryan Rush is my baby. Product knowledge and what?
Training.
And training. Are we talking from like the vendor side, or how do we teach and train retailers?
I say teach and train retailers. That's kind of what I was leaning on.
Yeah. So
And also customers. I mean, it filters down eventually.
Well, I think there's so many unique steps in one, how Drip Drop launches SKUs and how we teach and train retailers, and then how we try to accompany that with bullet point opportunities for them to be able to teach their consumers, right?
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, right, let's just take Rhino Rush, for instance. if you take grocery and you take C-store, not even smoke shop, tobacco, vape store, right? In grocery, as a marketer, you have 30 minutes of a consumer. You have 30 minutes to grab a consumer in a grocery store. In C-store, you have less than 60 seconds.
Sure.
Right. And so whatever you're doing, whether you're in grocery, right? In grocery, if you have 30 minutes, then your goal is to pay for as many spots in a grocery store for someone to see your products.
Yep.
Right. You're buying end caps, you're buying freaking shelf talkers, right? You're at checkout, right? Because the goal is if as many times they could see it, and they say the magic number is 7, right?
Yeah.
If they see it 7 times, most likely they're going to grab it. Well, then in grocery, you're spending all that money to get them to buy it. In C-store, right, it's the promotion program, it's all of that, and it's being able to give enough information to the retailer to be able to have them say, yo, you should try that.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not so much the incentive on them buying it, right? Dude, we've done enough free fills and it doesn't work, right? Half offs and it doesn't work. It's really when you get a retailer to buy into, dude, there's a gold mine at the end of this. Mm-hmm. If you can create a category in your store, which the reality is 5 Hour Energy is the #1 gross profit driving SKU in all of C-store.
Wow.
All of C-store, right? It's the #1 gross profit driver. Right, with it, and it's only 4 feet.
They call it the countertop king for a reason.
It's the countertop king, right? So to be in that category with Rhino Rush, right, our goal is to 1, capitalize on being a gross profit driver, 1, and then 2. And listen, back when Rhino Rush first started.
How do you become that? Let's expand on that a little bit.
Sure.
How do you become a gross profit driver?
Well, you're talking about just for them.
Well, no, for Rhino Rush, how do we do it? And then,
so for us, how we do it is 1, we get there. Right?
Yeah.
You can't be a gross profit driver in that category if you can't get to shelf.
Yeah.
Right. So we got to get there first.
Yep.
Right. And then once you get there, the problem that many energy shots have, including Rhino Rush, right, is changing the consumer buying habits.
Sure.
Right. So where they see a 5 hour, it's something that they've bought. Right. Maybe they trust it. How do you get them to buy Rhino Rush? Right. So then it's heavy promotions, right? It's 2 for 4s, 2 for 5s, buy one, get one frees, right? Because for us, fortunately, the redemption of us getting a consumer to go from 5 hour to Rhino Rush is 45%.
Sure.
Right. And so it's us getting them to change their habits, buy a Rhino Rush, and then they fall in love with it. Ours tastes better, ours works better. So they're in. Right. That's the first step.
Yeah.
The next step is being able to teach the retailers what makes us unique and different, right? And so years ago, when we first launched into the energy shot category, I'm a fan of know your enemy.
Yeah.
You have to know you have to know your enemy.
Yes.
Right?
We're not talking about the streets now.
And so the problem was,
it feels like it.
So when I was doing like the studies of like know your enemy, I wanted to understand the owner and creator of 5 Hour Energy. Come to find out, the dude's amazing.
Yeah.
Freaking amazing. Manoj Barava, I don't know if he'll ever watch this, but he's freaking amazing. He's brilliant. And one of the things that he said in like one of his like earliest interviews was, back when Rhino Rush first launched, there was hundreds of energy shots.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hundreds. Right? Coca-Cola had one, Pepsi had one. Everyone had an energy shot.
NOS,
Red Bull, Monster, they all had energy shots.
Not to come to think of it, it's funny because not being in sales or in that arena of sales, like I remember just being a consumer and seeing a lot of those.
Yeah.
Dude, we
they were
literally
all over
failed
the place.
overnight.
Yeah.
I don't know how Rhino Rush did it.
Yeah.
I swear to God.
Because we are the shit.
Yeah.
Because you look at a Rhino Rush like this.
I'm gonna have to tell you how. I'm about to tell you why.
Like,
Manoj taught me how to do it.
This killed Red Bull.
Yeah.
I'm about to tell you how.
That's insane.
So Manoj said this in one of his earliest on. I don't think he's done interviews since like 2012, 2013 when 5 Hour first launched. And the story on how 5 Hours created, like that's just amazing too. But he said, if you want to get into this category and you want to compete with 5 Hour, you can't be 5 Hour with a different name.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's got to
You
be
have
something
to be
different.
something completely different. And so when he said that, I was like, well, son of a bitch, Rhino Rush is completely different, right? Same bottle, different formula,
Yeah.
right? And so that was how we sold it. Listen, you're going to sell 5 Hour. You're going to have 5 Hour consumers that love 5 Hour and the mediocre energy they're going to give you. And then you're going to have consumers that want the energy that Rhino Rush gives them.
Yep.
Look at your cooler doors. You have Monster, you have Red Bull, right? You have NOS, you have freaking Redline. You have so many different consumers that buy different things. And the energy shot category was the only category in the United States outside of WD-40 that no buyer would ever buy competition for.
Yep.
Right? One, gross profit, largest right across C-stores. So they just didn't want to mess with that. And so in the beginning, we just had to figure out what makes us different.
Yep.
Well, Rhino Rush formula is 100% different.
Yeah, you leaned on your
Yep.
actives, and I remember that. I mean,
Yep.
even before I met you guys, and yeah, there was very active ingredient forward as far as like marketing
100%.
went. Yeah.
Yeah. All herbal stimulant base. And then when we hit gold, right, was when we launched into Jackson's.
Yep.
Right? The Jackson's buyer was like, I make way too much money on rebates selling 5 Hour. Why would I even want to try Rhino Rush? And I got a wild hair at my ass, and I was like, listen, you're going to make your rebate money no matter what. But I promise you, if you put Rhino Rush in the set right next to 5 Hour, you're going to make just as much, if not more,
Yeah.
of your rebate. You're still going to sell that customer. I'm telling you, there's another customer out there. And yes, maybe there's some crossover. Sure. But you have another customer that you're not even servicing. And in our first year, we smashed it, blew it out the box. And so for us, it was being able to teach and train retailers that there's a multitude of consumers and categories that you have to be able to chase. And right, every category has options.
Yeah,
The energy shot one just didn't.
I'm surprised we're having this conversation here. That we've never actually talked about this.
Sure.
So I basically had a crosshairs on my head for the failure of NOS Power Shot.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that, man. That's
So,
crazy. What
it
year
was-
was that?
2008.
Yeah, that was a while
2007.
ago.
And I innovated. I did Power Shot. I can't say we innovated Power Shot. We did an 11-ounce Sneaky Pete because NOS had a Sneaky Pete
Those
bottle.
are like tall, skinny.
Yeah, the one like when you
Yeah.
watch Fast and Furious, Vin Diesel pulls the seat up in his RX-7 and puts it back down.
Yeah.
Those were Sneaky Pete's. Then you had the regular bottle, 22-ounce bottle. Then we had a really, really big one. But we were all banking on Power Shot carrying us through. And so we had a Nielsen study that we all pinched in it. That's Monster, Red Bull, Rockstar, right? Monster had Hitman. Red Bull just used Red Bull. Rockstar, I think, just used Rockstar as well. And the countertop was flooded. And it was really tough for NOS to get anything.
Yeah.
Right. So Nielsen came back to us, said two things. And I think it was my biggest failure that I want to share with everybody, because I think that's your greatest lessons.
Sure. Yeah.
It was the call out. We all lost to 5 hours of energy. Everybody was like, well, how much energy is this? There was no assumption that it'd give you 5 hours. And it's kind of enlightening to hear Motu's point of view, just kind of going in a time machine and hearing his standpoint. Like Ephedra has that much power behind it.
Yeah.
Right. Then the rush combined with all that. It is not a fun space to compete in against 5 Hour. So they basically said two major things. It's the branding position, right? And you were asking education.
Yeah.
Right. There's no better education than that.
Sure.
Get to the fucking point. It's going to give you 5 hours of energy.
I know. What a brilliant name.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like how I am with everything, right? Like when we were talking about getting a new .com, I was like, let's look at keywords
Yeah.
that people are already and creatively combine two words.
Yep.
And it's something from a painful lesson on that point, right? So I think the other thing you got, so that's then when your brand easily educates your retailers, the people at the countertops selling on the other side, that's key one.
Yeah.
Key two, in today's world, everything Motu said is completely factual and is the foundation of marketing. I really don't want to say this, but it's just the truth. Like if you don't understand retail marketing, you are not in marketing.
Yeah.
Marketing is sales,
Yep.
right? People are like, oh, you're a CMO and you're doing all these great fucking cool things in marketing. And so it's like, I just weaponize sales. I'm shit without a good salesman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I've been blessed to have like the John Keneally's of the world, the John Blair's, David Martin's, I'm missing a bunch of great people that have been phenomenal sales guys that are still part of the brands that are in our houses.
Right.
Right. Because they really do their job. And they'll call you and be like, I need a sales sheet. I need a slick. I need a POP. I need an end cap design. I need this. And you're just supporting these guys, right? But when you're actually supporting them outside of it, going, I already have the field marketing at the door.
Sure.
I already sponsored this event. What's changed the whole game, right? Like I've been super blessed to work with Prime. It's insane when you have kids going to mom, going, I want, ice pop.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get you an ice pop. No, I want Prime ice pop. And they go to the freaking ice cream counter and going, my kid wants Prime ice pop? And they're like, no, your kid wants Prime beverage ice pop.
Yeah.
Right. And that's like where the whole industry has been turned upside down on the digital stuff.
I like to say that's like a jewel.
Yeah.
Prime's like jewel.
Oh yeah. Juul's another key piece to where, so that whole thing that Juul does, that Prime does, that everybody else does, it's called UGC, user generated content.
Yeah.
Once you get that, I mean, and we're both shareholders of one of the biggest influencer groups in the world. And we know that power, we respect that power, because once you get people talking about it and you can measure it from screens, take that screen and make your buyer understand it, your sales team understand it, and the counter person understand it. That's where it's been.
Yeah. And that's a perfect, I mean, we were leading right into like marketing and sales, the marriage between the two of those things. And what a powerful, I think probably, because I've seen smaller businesses kind of lean into the digital marketing, like you were talking about. What did you call it? UGC?
Yeah.
It's, I've seen it done very clunky and it's such a powerful thing when you have, like you just said, you guys are both marketers, but you're also salesmen. You bring those two things together, and the way that technology is kind of pushing forward, you're either going to have to evolve or you're going to die in this type of industry, or any of them really.
Isn't that interesting? Go back in time, right? The evolution of brands didn't start until Monster enters the scene, changed the whole dynamic of what the energy drink category was, and then they evolved outside of it. It's so crazy because the evolution of things was so slow.
Yeah.
Right? You go back 15, 20 years, evolution of things. Now we're in such a weird age where if it doesn't evolve fast enough,
Right.
like it's so crazy. Like vapes.
Yeah.
Just what? A year ago, we were at 3,000 puffs. Yep. Now we're at what, 10,000 rechargeable,
10,000, 12, yeah.
Oh, LED side, like it's so crazy.
Oh, you have to, especially in the vape game, the innovation. I mean, it's a great thing to like zoom out a little bit and go. If you just like rewind back to maybe like 2012, 2013, this thing went from the customers wanted small devices with a very high amount of nicotine, with a very low visibility, small clouds. That was how it started. They were called cigalikes. They looked like a cigarette.
Right.
And then everybody remembers this because it was obnoxious. People figured out sub-ohm devices, sub-ohm vaping, big clouds, dudes doing competitions. You go to the trade shows and I can't see Motu 4 feet across from me. And that's like what it was all about. I remember going to ECC in 2015 in Pomona, California. It was the craziest show I've ever seen. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It was like airplane hangars full. I mean, it was nuts. It was full of vape companies. And there was like dance crews of 18-year-olds like shooting videos and like blowing, doing the thing where they push the clouds in the circles. And then that turned into this. Disposables. We're back to where we started. It's like we watched, they say like trends come full circle.
Oh,
this thing did it in like 5 years. Not even that, 4 years.
Yeah.
It went from like small devices, concealed, not
big old mods,
huge mods, big clouds, and then all the way back to this. If you want to follow like the law of that, and we might want to start getting into big clouds again.
I don't think it was the law of that, right? Have you seen that?
No, disposables it was the convenience of this. Those before were not disposable. They were.
What did you see? Have you seen the big vape? The Juul big vape?
I have not watched it yet. I've been told to watch it. I haven't watched it yet.
The creation of Salt Nicks is what changed the game.
Yep, I remember that all happening, actually. It was and there was a lot of trepidation from people inside of the industry when it came to Salt Nick because the word, I believe it was benzoic acid is what they started to cut freebase nicotine with, and that really wigged a lot of people out. But there was people pushing it hard. companies like Juul who said, well, let's take that stuff, put it in a disposable, make the wattage super low so we can take a pod and throw it and put another pod on and then take the nicotine content and boost it way up. What benzoic acid did is make it to where you could take 50 milligrams of nicotine and inhale it without it burning your throat. Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch the documentary. I mean, I will kind of watch that thing unfold in real time. There's probably a lot of questions I have that are unanswered that are answered in that. But yeah, it was a fascinating thing to observe the whole industry, like kind of.
Well, it's crazy because you observed it from like the side of like e-juice, right?
Yeah.
And so
device
if you watch
innovation.
the big vape, right? And I don't come from that industry, right? So I don't come from the e-juice side, or I knew nothing about it. And so it was crazy to watch the big vape and be like, oh, it makes sense now.
Yeah.
And so it's
right up my alley. I just haven't watched it. I've been asked by quite a few people. A bunch of
any
people
listener, go watch that video.
Yeah,
it's on Netflix.
I've heard
it's a
it's
documentary.
phenomenal.
It's freaking awesome.
I think like one thing I saw from what I learned, again, like I just said, my career would have been nothing without amazing. I even said that in my interview here. Like I said, I've got these huge brands. I've had equity in huge companies. And it was all because these salesmen and women understood that I would weaponize them to do their job.
Sure.
That's all there is.
But what's interesting, right, is Drip Drops never had a marketing department.
Yeah.
Right. So if we go back in time,
this is kind of new to us.
Yeah, it's super brand new, right? To have an Ernie in here that has a full marketing team, and we have a full design and video, like it's super new to us. And so, right, Doug talks about this all the time, right? We did it backwards.
Yeah, built it on the street.
We went to the streets, sold it in the stores, stood on top of our products and the fact that they were going to turn, and they did, right? And this is just the next phase of us continue to evolve and grow. And so and real salesmen will always say sales comes first, marketing comes second.
Yeah, of course.
There's a lot of companies that say marketing's first, sales comes second.
Yeah.
Right? Without marketing, you don't have sales.
Yep.
Well, I'm here to tell you,
it's complete opposite.
it's without sales.
Yeah.
There's
right?
nothing
There is no
I've been hearing
marketing.
Doug say sales is the most important thing since day one, you know?
Well, sales is the blood of any company,
Yep.
right? If you're not selling the products you have, then what do you got? You're not making revenue. You're not making money.
Yeah, when you have a marriage between the sales and the marketing team like that, it's a whole nother level. So I had the first seat to watch once NOS was acquired by Coke.
Yep.
And I had this huge power. And then we also had vitamin water breathing down our back. The parent company of our company was Fuse Beverages. Fast forward now 20 years, NOS is the only one evolving, and Fuse can only be found in Subway.
Yeah.
Never thought that would happen, right? These huge. So when that point happened, it was the weirdest part of my life. I literally had to present NOS to all of CCNA, Coca-Cola North America, after 50 Cent.
Yeah.
And Triple X, and I was like, what? This is wrong. Like, who the fuck made this itinerary?
Yeah.
Right. And it was so cool because like we had Kyle Busch come out, do a burnout in front of the Coca-Cola, and then came to me, and I was like, all right, there's excitement. You saw this like thing of excitement because it was American passion on four wheels and a tailpipe.
Yeah.
And that's where it hit me. I was like, shit. At that point, Red Bull was first, Rockstar was second, Monster was third, Full Throttle was fourth, we were fifth.
Yep.
NOS. Come today.
That was a long ass time ago.
That was a
Monster
very
hasn't
long
been in
time
third
ago.
place for a long time.
Yeah. So now the reason why Monster's number, okay, and that to your point earlier too, right? The sales team at Red Bull, and mind you, they didn't break ground in Cali yet.
Yeah.
Red Bulls and the sales team, it was mainly Texas salesmen that came from Dr. Pepper, Big Red. So you know you're hearing Bubba brands, right?
Sure.
So they're all saying this whole digital thing is about to take off. Red Bull pulled all their NBC sponsorships, all of their motocross sponsorships, all of their X Games sponsorships, and just did a helmet program. And then they went and built Red Bull Media House,
Yeah.
right? Kind of what we're doing at Drip Drop Studios. Red Bull Media House then grew, and you had Red Bull TV, and you had Red Bull app, and all this digital platforms and everything. What ended up happening is that they lost US, but they gained the entire universe.
Yeah.
The world.
They took over
Isn't that
global
crazy?
positioning.
Yeah, it's nuts.
And it was brilliant because Dietrich was just like, look, I was supposed to go to Red Bull after NOS. and I was going to go run all of motorsports for Red Bull. But at that time, I probably would, if had I done that, I would not have my beautiful kids.
Yeah.
Right. Because it was a global position. They sat there and they're like, we don't care about being number one. We want top 3 in the entire world. I was like, whew,
Yeah.
that's deep. Now, Monster and Rockstar are fighting. Monster's third, right? And we're all like, here we are, 2013, going, how?
Right.
John Keneally went over, and I'm not name dropping, fuck you, Kyle.
No, just just a bunch of names.
Lay it out.
John Keneally.
Everyone, feel free to Google them.
Yeah.
So JK came in, and he's just like, we need to hit all the Bubbas of the world. I was like, what in the fuck is this guy talking about? And I researched everything. I went to Nielsen. I nerd out, right? Like,
Yeah.
some people love me in marketing because I'm a creative, and sales guys love me because, like, I'll kick your ass in Adobe. Or I'll try to hang with you because Quincy is a badass.
He's good.
Yeah,
Quincy's good. I know Q's a score, dude. Don't tell him that, though. Nobody tell him that.
Q kicks my ass.
He's
I've
good.
told it to him. I was like, Q, you kick my ass. But then when it comes to sales, like, the amount of data I hit, like, because I don't want to bullshit somebody that has my livelihood on the line.
Sure.
I'm like, yo, this is what hits. After doing all the research, when he met by Bubba, market to Americans. We're an American company. They hit it.
Yeah.
They hit it hard. You look at every single Monster athlete and Monster property, it's Americana 100%, right? But then when you look at Red Bull, they got B-boy comps, they got every culture,
Yeah.
Dude.
right? So then
What Red
you look
Bull
at Rockstar.
does like 10 billion in sales a year
Yeah.
globally, and Monster's at like 4.
Yeah, they're 26 now.
Red Bull?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like Bang in the heyday was doing 710
Yeah.
in the heyday. And then Monster bought them. They said, yeah, we'll buy you for 310, and just bought them like that, right? Other stipulations. So,
Sure.
but you got to ask yourself, why didn't Rockstar take that?
Yeah.
Rockstars is an American terminology,
Yep.
right? That's where the synergy between sales and marketing completely missed. When Wiener owned Rockstar, him and his sales team and his marketing team in lockstep, just like the way we are,
Yeah.
right? And we're going to get better. We're going to evolve. I've only been here for 4 months. I'm just weaponizing what they want. This studio is part of that.
Yep.
Rockstar sold for $7 billion, as he should, to Pepsi. So that's why they missed it.
Yep.
Monster is still owned by the 3 founders and in collaborations with Coca-Cola in Corona, California,
Yeah.
right? And then the funniest thing is now they have my baby. They have NOS,
Yep.
and they're distributing NOS. And they just launched. We went to NAX, and I walked through the booth to go see Phil and Mark and Hamilton over at Monster. And I was trying to find you, and couldn't find. I was going to drag you with me to the booth. And don't you love it when you see your old artwork come to life 20 years later?
Oh, yeah.
So now NOS Zero came out,
Yeah.
and we knew NOS sugar-free needed to be done,
Yep.
right? And
Yeah, that was a huge wave.
Yeah,
I
and
mean, it
it's
still is. I mean, it's still very popular, but
then I go and ask them, I was like, yo, where's NOS at now? They're like, yo, we think we can get number 3 and beat Red Bull, like Rockstar. Like, for me to hear that, I'm like, God damn it. Sold too soon.
yeah.
It's like, you're going to beat a company that just sold for $7 billion. Body Armor sold for 8.6.
Yep.
Rockstar sells for 7. And here, this little garage passion drink is going to go and beat that. So the point really is, no matter what the branding is or anything along those lines, if you don't weaponize the sales team and the sales team doesn't ask for the right things, it's not going to happen.
Sure.
4 months ago, we said, we need to get more screens than doors. Here we are, episode 3, 4. Like, by the time you're
already
doing
4
your
episodes
100th episode, like, we're going to be like, this fucker's going to be signing autographs at champs.
I know. That's what I was already being talked to about, like bringing this to one of the, to maybe February or something. And I was like, man, we're like, I'm down, but
Do a podcast.
Yeah,
at the show.
Oh, in the booth.
That'd
Yeah.
be smart.
See,
Yeah,
and
it'd
this
be
is-
fun.
And the other problem too is it's like the reason why we're doing this so much is because there's just not enough Motu and Doug,
Yeah.
right? And I can't. They have families.
Sure.
Like, I know his little girl, I know his wife. I met Doug's family and all his beautiful daughters. Like,
Yep.
we're at a point in our lives where that's what matters.
Yep.
Right. Like, so how do we optimize their time? We hologram them, we multiply them
Yep.
with the technology,
We share them this way.
but we hit the street.
Yeah.
Still,
Yeah,
still
we still got to hit the street, and that me and him know that.
Yeah. Well, and it's so important. I feel like you guys are explaining very well that marketing is not just a byproduct of sales, and sales is not a byproduct of marketing. It's very important that they are completely synergistic and they're working together.
They have to be.
I mean, our CRO is Kyle, and like every conversation we have, I mean, his wife is starting to question if we're moonlighting.
Yeah.
Me and that fool are talking constantly, and it's just like,
You guys are starting something on the backside.
yeah, and we're just like, hey, whenever he picks up, I'm like, hi, honey. And it's
Yeah.
right now.
Reminds me of like that State Farm where
You
he's
can only talk
talking.
all night so many times before, yeah.
But like, he's like, we need to do emailing programs and et cetera, et cetera. Motu's talked about it. Doug's talked about it. Troy's pushed it. And now there's someone, I've always said it. Like, I praise my team, our team. I don't even want to call it my team. Yeah, I'm the CMO. Great. I tell everyone I'm just your lawyer.
Yeah.
Because I got to go to the front of the house and be like, all right, guys, this is what's going on.
Sure.
Here's when it's going to happen. And it sucks going to him.
Yeah.
The worst. Like, it's my big little brother.
Yep.
Right? So I'm like, fuck. I could talk down to you, but you whoop my ass.
Yeah.
But it's always this. I got more cardio than you, though.
Yeah.
right now.
But it's just, I think it's really, my timing in my career was just so right. I literally texted him. I'm like, I'm done corporate. Like, I need a change in life. My personal life was falling apart. And I was like, hey, what do you think? He goes, I think you need to fly to Boise. I was like, fuck that. I am not coming to Boise. And
Now he lives here.
Now he
I
lives
do
here.
not live here.
To be determined, though. I
It's
feel
not
like,
to be
yeah.
determined. He lives here.
Yeah.
So with all that said, like, it's just fascinating to see Doug, Motu, Troy, this empire they built on the street.
Yep.
Remember, that's field marketing.
Yeah.
They did it not backwards. They proved the model.
Sure.
And we all know how big Drip Drop is.
Yeah.
Now, with doing it right, and they invested in doing the right thing, they always had it. The nerdery has been always here. The marketing team are salesmen that came from marketing. I think the shipping department even said the same
Yeah.
thing. We took an artist from the shipping department.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
just-
and he's great. And
The culture here, it was
it's
there.
awesome. Yeah.
He says it all the time. It was just turnkey for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't as easy as he says it was.
It was.
Well, I think you're streamlining it. I mean, I've been in all the meetings and I've been watching from a distance. I mean, obviously I'm involved in here and there, but I think that it's absolutely the step that we needed to take as a company, and it's paying off already, and it's going to continue to pay off. It's really amping up the marketing to match the tenacity of the sales. And I've watched it from day one. I don't want to say it was done the hard way, but it feels like it sometimes,
It was done the hard
Oh,
way.
Yeah.
we did it the hard way.
Yeah.
But that's just us.
yeah, of course.
That's just us.
It's always been the hard way.
like we look and there's two paths, and then we're like, that's the one of least resistance. Screw that one.
Yeah, no, we're
this
going.
way.
Yeah, walking on coals.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I want to get into
hand
trade
in
shows.
hand, me and Doug. Like,
I want to
fuck
get into
it, we're
trade
going
shows
that
though, because that's something where I feel like a lot of our peers is Drip Drop. That's where we kind of
thrive.
Yes, and that's where we communicate with everybody.
Yeah.
That's where we can shake their hands. I want to get into trade shows, and
Sure.
what are we doing at trade shows, and how are we maximizing our return on trade shows? How are we following up with customers? What are we doing out there?
So our man. So when I came in, we had just barely eclipsed the 10x20 booth,
Yep.
right? And so we had bought a trailer, and we had just grown into a 20x20. And so now we're kind of at a weird phase for Drip Drop, right? We've grown so much. Our assortment of offerings has expanded from kratom to vape. Now we have smoking accessories and this and that. And so how do you fit all of that into a trade show booth? Right. And then how do you sell all of that so you don't feel like, right, like, all right, let's go this way. All right, we're going to go over here.
Yeah.
Right. And then it takes 40 minutes to get the customer to actually sitting down. And so we're still growing through that. Right. And I think for us right now, as we look at our booths, our goal is to try to make them smaller.
Yeah.
right? So that the customer experience is easier, right? It's easier for them to put in an order. It's easier for us to take it, right? Because I think the last show, right, it was super obnoxious, right? We had two 20 by 20s and arches, and right, we have product over here, over there, and so it just for us, it's we're salesmen first, right? But we always want to figure out how we take care of the customers,
Sure.
Yeah.
and it's too long of a journey to walk them around a freaking 20 by 50 booth.
Yeah.
Right. And so, so right now we've already scaled to where we're big. Right. And we realize that that's probably just a little much.
Yep.
Right. Especially when our manpower is super small and sales reps on the floor. And so the goal is how do we do the damage we do with the 20 by 50 in a 20 by 20.
Sure.
Let's get to the point. Let's get our customers into the system. And right now, I think for us, it's super exciting because technology is now becoming our friend.
Yeah.
Right? We now have an app. Our website is freaking amazing. It's easy to order through. And so we can make our booth smaller and now utilize the technology that we spent the last 8 months building out
Sure.
to shorten, right, the window for the customer to order and make it easier for them.
Yeah, and you don't have to. I mean, those shows are, especially in the counterculture space. I've not been to any of the big, I've not been to NACS or any of the really big ones, but these kind of counterculture shows. I really like the fact that you're talking about making it efficient because flexing is something that people do at those shows. They get a big booth, they make it look really cool. It's like that's part of it. Of course, you want to be appealing, but they don't sell anything because they haven't built it out efficiently. And we are still learning that stuff. I think it's really smart to.
Well, we still sell in a 20.
Sure, of course.
I think the biggest thing you mentioned too is just like there's no point of us flexing anymore.
Yep.
So
don't have to. Yeah.
And I kind of give this contribution to the owners. Like we talked about it. What are we going to do? What are we going to do different? And we're at this point where we can't do a full tour because they're not as the ROI isn't as great. So last year we tested an award ceremony. So we're not flexing, we're embracing.
Sure.
And the booth is small. It's intimate. We made an intimate event. We didn't expect 700 people to show up.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can't wait for this year. I'm excited.
Oh man, the Counterculture Awards series is just something a brainchild amongst the owners and the C-suite that I'm proud I get to carry that torch.
Yeah,
it's just me carrying it. I rather carry the weight and let my owners and my C-suite take all the glory because that is a weapon.
Yeah, it is.
That whole thing is a weapon that we all share.
Yep.
I remember I almost cried looking at Day, screaming at him through week 3. And he's like, well, I can't stand marketing. Like sales is instant. I make money.
Yeah.
And in that day he looked at me, he goes, it's done.
Yep.
There was over 700 people here.
Yep.
We gave away awards. People love us. Even more people came to the booth. We're like, so we're finding ways of, Drip Drop is loved, renowned, respected within the whole counterculture industry.
Yeah.
Right? You think you make a brand, you're coming after Drip Drop. You're trying to get in with those guys.
Yep.
And you can't miss the 2 guys that you got to convince, right? And now you got to get in with Kyle. And Kyle's knowledge is huge. Brett's knowledge is huge. And getting the sign off from the owners, it kind of gets harder. But then if you're getting an award, guess what? The Drip Drop is one of the biggest sponsors of the Counterculture Award series.
Yeah.
Right. So like you're going to get Doug's attention. You're going to get Motu's attention. Not only that, we found out Doug said that we have other friends of yours that are all in retail that are purchasing products because they attended our award series.
Yeah.
That was probably the coolest part was like a few of the companies that were up for the awards, right? That didn't win, but they were up for it. Without them being up for awards, a lot of the distributors and partners that we sell to showed up to our event and they saw it.
Yep.
It was
and then
like
they bought
15
it.
seconds.
Sure.
And
yeah, it's
so-
paying off in indirect ways. It's amazing. I can't wait for it this year. I'm going to be at it this year. I wasn't there last year. It's very exciting, very cool, and it's unique. And
It's Drip Drop, baby.
yes, it is.
but
Yes,
not
it
in like
is.
a cocky Drip
Sure.
Drop
Well,
way.
and so-
It's
I love
like,
that.
we
Yeah.
say you do all these things, right? And I think it's really smart, like the idea of using technology, like you were saying, you got a 20 by 50, this big cool booth. It takes 40 minutes to walk someone through it. You shrink that down to a 20 by 20. We've proven ourselves using technology to make it a 20 by 50, without it being a 20 by 50, expanding the category, maybe with screens, maybe with tablets.
We might need a 20 by 50 for the podcast.
Yeah, it might have. We should.
We're bringing the Sprinter van, and we'll mock up we'll put this all in the Sprinter
inside
van.
the Sprinter van.
I think we definitely should, man. That'd
Now
be
we have
amazing.
a reason to wrap the Sprinter van.
So how do you just maybe again for people that are sub distributors or people that are watching this that are building up a distribution company, when you go to this show or go to the trade show and you've now introduced yourself to a bunch of new customers, you've created some business, what happens afterwards? Because that's not something a lot of people discuss. Like you come home, what do you do when you get home?
Well, so there's two different types of options, right? So, and I'll take you down a journey of both, right? So you have the Drip Drop way, which our way is at a show we sell, we collect money, ship product. And then we had the Rhino Rush way, where it was grab as many contacts as possible and then do all the follow-up.
Sure.
So Drip Drop way, when we do shows, our goal is to grab cash, right? Collect as much money.
Get it on
Not
the
collect as
floor.
much money, is to sell as much as we can.
Yeah.
Collect money, get it shipped out, right? And so what we do after that, right, is all orders taken at the show end up landing on our customer service team or on our sales floor, and then it's instant follow-up, right?
Yep.
They follow the product, make sure it lands, make sure everything is good, make sure that we get them registered on the website if they haven't, make sure they download the app if they haven't, and make sure that we put them in the reorder cycle and really understand, hey, when do you reorder? Do you reorder on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? What day of the week? All right, perfect. We will schedule a follow-up for that day of the week. What time is best for you, right? So we start grabbing as much information from the customers as possible so that, one, we're not working against them. We're working with them, and it's in the window that works best for them. And then we try to introduce new SKUs, new products, right? A lot of the times at the trade shows, they see it all. Right. And then it's a lot to take in.
Yes.
Right. And so we're fortunate that we have a lot for them to see. And then essentially they see something that I need that. I got to sell that. But they saw 3 other things that they were like, yeah, I could sell. That'd do well. And so it's our job to get the other 3 things back on their plate so that they're reviewing it again.
The machine's got to take over when you get home. The operations have got to get it to them fast. And that all the stuff you can sell at the show, one day turnaround. If you're not following up with actual, operations, the team here putting it out the door that day, and then your sales team, your CSAs at home following up. It takes a whole, a village to run this place, and there's a lot of moving parts, man. Yeah.
A lot.
It is. There's a lot of glory on the sales floor at the trade show, but there's a lot of stuff back home that's got to happen too, and that's the same across the board for anybody who's building one of these. It's like you can be as flashy and cool as you want, but if you're not following through properly, follow through is everything. Everything.
But to summarize your question, when you decide what size booth you go through,
yes,
to Motu's point, sales drives marketing.
Yes, sir.
The sales will dictate how big your booth is.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes out to.
That is a true statement.
So when you see Drip Drop at 100 by 100, do you know what's going on?
Yeah. The big,
That means all the SKUs are selling really, really well.
Yeah, we're doing
probably
good.
buy it.
Before it's too late.
So I guess I kind of want to last point I want to touch on before we wrap this up is competition.
The 2 most competitive people, right?
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah. So I guess let's just get into actually Ernie. Maybe it would be a good person to kick it off. But
Yeah, Ernie.
see, this is exactly what I'm talking about.
Finally.
But that's internal competition, which is one of the points we'll touch on. So that's the beautiful thing about working at a place where people understand. Having the right team is super important.
Till you come to the ping pong room.
That's right. Oh, I played for the first time the other day. I got the floor wiped with me. I'm not good at it. Brett apparently is really good.
Oh my God, that surprised me.
Yeah. Big fudge.
Well, what do you
coming
do
through.
in freaking Genesee, Idaho?
Big-
Play ping pong.
Oh, big fudge alone.
What's it? Forrest Gump. He's in there.
You ain't. What else do you do?
Yeah.
He's just in his garage playing ping pong against himself.
So we do. So yeah. Well, I guess let's talk about the psychology of breeding positive competition inside and also positive competition outside. I don't think we got to scorch the earth everywhere we go. And we haven't. I mean, Doug can.
Yeah.
I've seen, but I guess let's get into
So
that.
competition question, like you're starting a new brand or
Yeah,
you're
well,
in it?
all of it. You know, I'm starting a new brand.
There's two schools of thought. Again, sales driven again, right? Two schools of thoughts. Trends versus hype trends.
Yes.
So trends is everything. Like that's why Google bought Google Trends and built it. Okay. Trends is everything. So like, for example, as you mentioned, you went to these, and I remember seeing them too. Like I never went to one. And I knew it was in Pomona.
Yeah.
But I was just like,
Monster
I am
shows.
not a smoking guy. Like, I'm cool, but that's really cool, but really weird. Is that really a thing?
Yeah. Oh, it
and
was.
then he's sitting there, right? Here I am, Mr. Corporate CPG guy. And he's like, Oos, that's some fucking, look, this is what we're doing. I was like, holy shit.
It went from M's to B's at a certain point. It was
Very fast.
Yes, it did.
So
it's still in B's.
Yes, it is.
And there's a trend, right? Then that trajectory, when you build trends, could go like this, or stay like this, or go hockey stick, right? So like Prime, hockey stick.
Yes, it did.
Right.
Yeah.
But then you got like your money making, Kratom, etc. Like the things that are just foundational bases. Like me and him look at entrepreneurial shit all the time. We're like, we should buy that company. And it's just kind of like, you know, as I drive around Cali, where I am from, where I lived.
Yeah,
Mate,
for now.
Don't lie to the people on camera. Are you serious right now? Leah's watching. Tell her you
My
live.
kids are watching.
And your kids want to live in Idaho too.
Yeah. Hey,
When you walk around Idaho, I'm really surprised like how you thrive, right? And that's a solid trend, right? Like farming, etc. So you kind of look at both ways from that standpoint. So the categories, you got to look at that category. When you combine the two,
Sure.
that's when magic happens. Like I just met Nazir from Jungo.
Oh, Jungo.
And listening to his mentality from a financial standpoint, et cetera, when you can think at an ownership level or you're in that situation first time and you start forecasting these things, it's tremendous. So, you know, when you're looking at competition, it depends on what type of salesman you are.
Yeah.
Right. In my mind, I don't know if this is just like they're really going to be a compliment or an insult. I think Motu and Doug have a perfect balance, and then Troy comes in, and then Kyle and Brett chime in, and it's a really, really solid balance of going, that is a trend worth moving into.
Sure.
And a category. And then that's something that's a lot of your responsibilities here that people don't know. It's like you're not just the face of this.
Yeah.
It's, you know,
I do work sometimes.
You look at
also.
ingredient, like I've seen what you built in the lab that day you brought me,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my God, when are we doing this?
For people that don't know, I'm like a weird mad scientist inventor guy. You know, like the glasses that you know change the distance, the magnifying.
And for
glass.
anyone out
That's me.
there that tries to get him away from us, he's going to kill you. But yeah, I think it's really,
You got your work cut out for you.
Yeah.
I think that's really what you have to do. Like you look at a trend and everyone has to come together. And I think the amount of failures, experience, and understanding and the partnerships amongst all of those executives, understanding that there's a number that will make us all agree that this is the right move moving forward.
Yeah.
And the process to getting there. I hate processes, right? You just got to look at the truth. And the truth be told is that, you know, this trend will live this long. We need to be a part of that train and build it, then innovate.
Yeah.
So that's the competition. Whoever's innovating the most is going to win. Kodak fucked up, right? In 2009.
Kodak cameras?
Yeah.
Oh.
The biggest reason, so literally Steve from Kodak walked up and said, there's a digital camera, boss. And Kodak's like, no, thank you. Yeah. We have our deal with CVS and with everybody else in Walgreens, and we're all about our film processing. They didn't take the risk between the trend to go and doing it. So then Steve left, quit, and went over to Sony. And Sony cameraman, the hit, and there it was. It took a little bit of a hit, but it ended up going.
Yep.
Same thing with Ramen Noodle. The founder of Ramen Noodle that guy went to prison. He's gone to jail.
My guy.
He went to prison for tax shit.
My guy. Either way, my guy.
He did all these cool things and then went completely bankrupt, started a thing in his garage, like everything else in the world, and then sat there and said, there's a trend. There's poor people. We're going through a war, right? I need to innovate something that people can eat, that won't perish, etc. So he made a great noodle, but couldn't figure out how to make it not perish.
Yep.
And next thing you know, He goes, is like, this is my career was built off of. Like, I'm dying to figure that next product out. He was watching his wife making shrimp tempura. He fried the noodles and found out, holy crap, that's why I like dry noodles, because it's fried.
Yep.
And then he goes, well, let me heat it up again with water, just water. And boom. Then he comes to America, right? Another trend. He does great in China and Japan. Nissan buys into him. That's why it's called Nissan Food Group. Nissan buys into his company and then says, well, there's so many trends. We need to go into the United States. We're going to the United States too. And then he goes, okay, goes to the US, gets distributors like Drip Drop, sees the market, and notices that Western mentality doesn't have an efficient mentality or a traditional mentality like Asian mentalities. And he made cup of noodles.
Yep.
Right? So that's really what it comes down to, is when a group like Drip Drop understands the numbers and the trends, to buy the right inventory, to work with the right brands, to execute when needed, and get rid of all the mentality of the process and just execute. That's where the competition really lies.
Yeah.
It's not a competition of branding, marketing, or anything along those lines. It's truly understanding the two trends and having a team that can execute.
Absolutely.
On that.
I
So,
see, and not to your point, and to add to that, right? Especially since the majority of the show is for retailers, right? Competition is healthy in stores.
Yep.
Right. Outside of that, right? Competition is healthy. I tell people this all the time, right? The only way that categories grow is when there's new competitors that come into the category that pour marketing dollars into growing the category.
mm-hmm.
You need competition.
Yeah.
You can't be the only one, because then it's only you spending marketing dollars.
That's true.
It's only you trying to grab consumers. You need people to come in, right? The energy drink category is so vast and so big because Red Bull spends money, Monster spends money, Rockstar, everyone's spending money saying, I got the best energy drink.
Sure.
I got the best energy shot. And all that does is helps the retailer out because they're spending the money to drive customers to their location.
To his point,
Right.
Fox Suspension has the patent on the coil and shock strut.
Yeah.
But why did they sell that patent to King and to everybody else? Bicycle industry, the Manstray bike suspension for the rear is owned by one guy.
Yeah.
And all these bike brands license it to him. Why? Because to Motu's point, Fox didn't want to be the only player in the game.
Yeah.
They wanted to increase the value. Like, entrepreneurs get to a point where you don't see that, but investor entrepreneurs start
Sure.
going like, oh yeah, duh, let me go build this whole market.
Yeah.
And
Create a
same-
market for the, yeah.
Yeah.
But it all adds to the market.
All of
And
it.
they have like ironclad patents that you have to get it gifted by them to make your suspension company, make your bicycle company.
Yeah.
Versus our industry, CPG, it's
Everyone.
anyone
going
can,
at
you
it.
can do whatever
Yeah.
you want.
Yeah.
So it's like, he's absolutely right. Like that statement is like the biggest thing to understand in competition, is that you
Yeah.
have to build a market.
With that being said, I must interrupt. This show is brought to you by Rhino Rush Energy. All herbal stimulant base. First energy shot with the Fedra. Go to rhinorush.com.
And if you want something to help you throughout the day, eliminate brain frog, brain frog.
If you have brain frogs,
You got problems.
Apparently I need to drink this, but
Drink one. Yeah.
yeah, if you don't want to, you want to make a better alternative for something that tastes better and gives you more cognitive energy and something to give you mental clarity. I'm an Alpha Brain user. Now I go over to Nootropic Rhino Rush. Game changer.
Yeah.
Changing the game.
Well, on that note, I think we're going to wrap this up. We've spent more time than we were initially
Ryan's gonna
planning
kill us.
on it. Yeah, we're about to be executed by Ryan. But lastly, we need you guys, if you could, to please like, follow, subscribe on all our social media. We need YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, at Drip Drop Distro on all of those. The guys here have been working like crazy to put content out. Obviously, we're doing the podcast, but there's a lot of photographs, pictures, short videos. To keep everybody informed, keep everybody in the Drip Drop family. And that's really what we're trying to do here. We're trying to bring in engagement from everybody to kind of keep everyone in the fold and show you behind the scenes and really make a community out of this over just a customer relationship so yeah, we love you guys. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.